Swordtails are some of my favorite fish here in the fish tank barn. Over the past couple of years, I have been able to collect some pretty awesome species, and I'm pretty excited to share them with you. Make sure to stay to the end of the video, because there are a couple of new additions that I am pretty excited to share. So let's step into the barn and take a look. So first up is the Kallmani, or brass swordtail. This species was discovered in 2003 in Lake Catemaco, Mexico. I've not been able to find a ton of information on this fish, but it is a larger species, reaching about 5 inches long. I've found these fish to have some of the same basic care requirements as some of your other swordtails. I've had these fish for about a year or so, but getting fry was slow at first, but we've now got a pretty healthy colony established. I have made a couple of changes to their 40 breeder as well. I've added some driftwood, as well as added some new tank mates for a new breeding project and for some algae control. We'll discuss this in a future video. But once things open up again, I am definitely pretty excited to get these out to some of my fish keeping friends. Let's head over to the neighboring 40 breeder, where we come to the Xiphophorous Clemenciae, or yellow swordtail. This fish hails from San Luis Potosi in Mexico and has a very specific location, 9 kilometers from Cerro, Oaxaca, Mexico. I've had these fish since fry, so it has taken some time to get this colony going as well. One thing I have found quite interesting is that it does take quite a bit of time for the males to develop their swords, but I am really happy with how this tank is turning out and how this colony is growing. These fish share a tank with a ton of Vallisneria, some super red bristlenose plecos, and a lone hatchet fish. Heading down the row here is another 40 breeder, which is home to my black swordtails. I did purchase these fish at the Big Fish deal back about a year ago in March, right before the pandemic started. I did have these fish in a 90-gallon with a group of Gadiads, but over time was not seeing any fry, so I moved them to their current home in this 40 breeder. Thankfully, I am starting to see quite a few drops of fry now, which I'm pretty excited about. These fish are not throwing 100% black fry, but are throwing a pretty fair number. So I'm going to move these orange type swordtails into another tank and see what develops. These fish also share a tank with the Melanitania species Wallace Road, which are some super awesome smaller rainbow fish that I picked up from Dan's Fish. So staying downstairs, let's head over to another 40 breeder in a different section of the barn. These are the orange swordtails that I picked up at the Tropical Magic auction back in August in Indiana. I started out with what I thought to be 1 male and 2 females, but however, one of the females was actually a late developing male. I will have to say that these are some of the nicest orange swordtails that I've seen out there in the hobby, and I'm very happy to have a pair of them. I am happy to report that I am starting to see some fry in this tank, which is definitely some good news. I am pretty excited to start getting these fish grown out and getting some of them out to my fellow hobbyists. So let's go ahead and head upstairs to this 75-gallon and the king of the swordtails, the Montezuma sword. Just by taking a look at these fish and their super long swords, you can definitely understand why they have that name. These fish reach about 6 inches long and are native to northeastern Mexico, where they inhabit waters with thick vegetation. In the aquarium, they do like the same thick vegetation, but also like some swimming space. These fish were shy at first, but I did find adding some dithers to be quite helpful. While I've had these fish since November 2019, I haven't seen some fry from these yet, but I'll be patient. Though it might be time for a tank change. Sharing this tank with them is a group of Melanitania bosemani Aves Creek, as well as some bristlenose plecos, which have been breeding in here quite prolifically. So next up, let's talk about the Nezahualcoytl swordtail, or northern mountain swordtail. This fish is often referred to as the Nezi swordtail for short, since its name is so hard to pronounce. These fish are found at higher elevations in the creeks and streams of the state of San Luis Potosi in Mexico. These fish are on the small side, with the males only getting to about 3.5 inches with the sword, and females about 2.5 to 3 inches. There are 2 alpha fish in this tank, with a couple of smaller fry roaming about if you look closely enough. I'm working to provide some more cover in this tank since these fish can be voracious fry eaters, but we'll see how that goes. It will take some work, but I am pretty confident in getting this colony jump started. Either way, I definitely do enjoy these little wild type fish. So continuing onward, let's take a look at the Xiphophorous Birchmani, or sheep's head swordtail, who are living in this 29-gallon tank. I picked up a group of 5 fry from Aquabid last May. These fish are found in central eastern Mexico in the Panuco River Basin. These are another smaller swordtail species, only getting to about 2.5 to 3 inches long, and are quite hardy as long as you keep their water clean. Unfortunately, I have not seen any fry yet, but they are getting bigger by the day, so hopefully we'll be close soon. In my research, others have said that these fish are not fry eaters, so hopefully we'll get an abundant group of fry going. I have found with a lot of these swordtail species, it takes about 6 months to a year to really start getting your colony established, especially if you're raising them from fry. This is another fish that I am pretty excited about, getting some fry and getting them onto my fish keeping friends. So now let's talk about the new additions. In another 29-gallon tank upstairs, we have the Xiphophorous Malinche, or Highland swordtail. These fish come from the Panuco River Basin, just like the Birchmani we discussed earlier, and often hybridize with each other. From my research, these fish seem to prefer cooler water from 59 to 70 degrees and get to be about 2.5 inches long. I currently have them in a heavily planted tank and try to leave some space for swimming room in the front. These fish did come in at a pretty good size, so I'm hopeful within a few months we'll have some fry. And eventually, we'll be able to share these with some other hobbyists. So let's go ahead and head downstairs and take a look at these Xiphophorous Alvarezi, or Chiapas swordtails. These fish did come in as fry, so this will definitely be a longer-term project. These fish are found on the Atlantic slope in southern Mexico and Guatemala. The males do get 6 inches long, which includes the sword, and the female is about 3 inches, and do well at your common aquarium temperatures from 68 to 80 degrees. I currently have them in a 20-gallon long for grow out and quarantine, but I will definitely provide them some larger accommodations as they continue to grow out. So taking fry like this, growing them out, and having them produce their own fry is one of the most rewarding things I find in fish keeping. It's definitely a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoyed taking a look at these swordtails with me. So if you want to see more content like this, go ahead and hit that subscription button, ding the notification bell so you don't miss any of the updates. So with that being said, stay safe out there, stay fishy, and I'll see you on the next video.